Hi guys, I'm still alive. Um, I know it's been, God, a really long time. I don't even want to look at my YouTube channel and find out how long it's been, but um, I know it's been a really long time since I last posted. Um, I've been, life's been really crazy. So in September, we decided, or technically at the end of August, we put in our notice for our apartment, kind of it was like an hour outside of like kind of the main town near where I live. Um, Maybe a little more. Anyways, so we put in our notice at that apartment because we wanted to move closer to town. Um, we were just finding that like getting to activities and actually doing stuff wasn't really happening because we were so far away. Um, so we put in our notice at the end of August and started looking for a place for October. Um, because our notice would, obviously was up at the end of September, and we found this really awesome 3 bedroom house. Technically the upper suite of a house, but like honestly, the bottom part was so small it didn't even count. It was a tiny little 1 bedroom suite. Um, but yeah, so we found this 3 bedroom house, and it was awesome. We wanted it. It was all good. It fit within our current budget. Um, and then it wasn't available till November. So we were stuck. We had nowhere to live for October, so we put all of our stuff in storage and we moved in with my mom for a month. Um, and that was interesting. I hadn't like it's the this move kind of out to where we were living, and in with my partner, was the longest time I'd been away from home. So to move back was kind of it felt kind of defeated, but it was honestly, I don't count it as a move home because it was just literally a month in between houses while we waited for our house to be ready. And so, yeah, so we spent a month at my mom's house, and then in November, we moved out to this new place, which is like way closer to town. It's like a half-hour drive, or you can hop on the train and get into town in like about the same amount of time. So, um, much better distance wise to like all the good stuff. So we did that, and then on the 13th of November, I will remember that forever because it was Friday the 13th, and we we realized that it had been a while since I had my feminine time. Um, and I noticed that I was having like some weird aches and pains that hadn't had before, and I'd been kind of nauseous lately. Um, so just kind of on a hunch, we went and took a pregnancy test at a clinic, and it was positive. So we went home and we discussed kind of what we wanted to do. And in the long run, like neither of us really wanted to put a kid up for adoption. If we were gonna have a kid, we were gonna keep it, because we've both kind of seen what the system can do to a kid, and on the off chance that they didn't get adopted right away as a baby and kept in the same home forever, um, we just didn't want to risk that kind of life for our kid. And honestly, I am not. I'm pro-choice, but for me, it was not something that I'd ever really considered. An abortion wasn't really. I wasn't comfortable with the idea. Especially because it was a situation where I was with someone that I was in love with. We'd been together almost 2 years at that point, and I didn't see a, I couldn't see a good reason to terminate the pregnancy. So we discussed it, and we called both of our parents. We called his dad and my mom, and decided that we were going to keep this baby. Um, so that was November 13th, and then um, kind of stuff just kind of went on. I had a really, really rough first trimester. I pretty much was either in bed or on the couch watching Netflix. Um, and sick 24/7 for the first 3 months of my pregnancy, to the point where um, my depression got really bad. I decided to stop taking my medication under supervision of my midwife and my family doctor. Um, I got referrals to the reproductive mental health group here. Um, just all sorts of little things to kind of help out. Um, so at the end of December, I had it was bad. Um, I had hit a breaking point. The doctor figures that was when the last of my medication finally filtered out of my system, and I crashed. It was just the combination of being so sick and not being on medication anymore, and my partner and I were struggling a little bit in our relationship, and so I ended up in a group home for um, mental health issues. Like it's there's a few of them in our in the area we live. Um, that it's a specific group that runs them, and it's actually run by the like health authority, I guess, in our area. Um, but yeah, it was like a group home, and I stayed there for I think just over a week. And then things started to pick up, and I finished that first trimester, and literally, it was like I woke up on day one of week 13 feeling like a new person. It was incredible. I was so relieved. And so my second trimester, we went through, and it got better. Just in a lot of ways, our relationship got better. I got better emotionally. I was getting all those good pregnancy hormones, so I was starting to feel better. And like not just getting the good pregnancy hormones, but they were starting to stabilize and do what they were supposed to do. So what my therapist explained is that during pregnancy, a lot of the times, especially people with mental health issues, do feel a pickup in their mood because they have all these positive hormones running through their body, and their body is trying to protect the fetus. And one of the ways it does that is making sure that the mental health is good as well as the physical health. Um, so yeah, so second trimester passed, whatever, pretty good, doing well. Um, Going into the third trimester, I was struggling a little bit, not mentally or anything. I was really getting sick of being pregnant, and the more pregnant I got, the more miserable I was. And it wasn't that I was having complications. I had a perfectly healthy pregnancy. My blood pressure was completely normal. Proteins were normal. No gestational diabetes, which I was a little bit higher risk for because I'm overweight. Um, just nothing. Like everything came back clear. All my tests, except for a little bit of anemia right at the end of my pregnancy, which is normal. I've always had issues keeping my iron levels high enough, so that was kind of to be expected. Um, so in week 36, I went in. I'd had some pains. It was my first time being pregnant. I was in and out of the um, labor and delivery from about week 32 on, just because I never was sure what I was feeling. Um, so week 36, we went in, and I think it was maybe lack of movement. I can't remember. They kind of blurred together. And we found out, and they were checking his heart, and they were finding that it was dropping off, and they were having issues monitoring it. So they sent us for an ultrasound, and it was determined that he had a dropped beat, which is it's like a type of arrhythmia. Um, but the doctor at the time was not concerned. The doctor who did the ultrasound was not concerned. He said that the odds of it continuing past labor and delivery were slim. That labor, it should self resolve during labor when he was, from the contractions and going through the birth canal, because that's how a baby starts breathing too properly. Is when they go through the birth canal, the contractions are pushing everything out of their lungs and clearing out their lungs. And it also helps kind of jumpstart any heart issues if they have like kind of this minor arrhythmia issue. So we weren't concerned. Week 36, it was a little scary, but week 36 goes by. We continue on. Um, and so we get to, he was due on the 16th. Oh, and we did find out what he was at week week 20, and we did find out that we were having a boy. Um, so we had a little gender reveal party, and we named him, and kind of started getting ready, getting the nursery ready, all that kind of stuff. Um, so he was due on the 16th. On the 13th, I was noticing a pretty notable decrease in movement, to the point where I hadn't felt any movement all day. So we went in around lunchtime. Um, just a sec. Oh, little guy. So this is the little guy. Um, so we went in around lunchtime, and we we went in to get his movement checked and to kind of check the heart rate and everything. And that heart drop was more frequent and it was lasting longer, which concerned them. And there was no movement. He was not wiggling around, nothing. Um, so they sent me back. They didn't want to send me away for an ultrasound. They actually kept me in the hospital and had the ultrasound technician from the other facility come to our hospital and come and do the ultrasound in labor and delivery. So he did the ultrasound and he said, "This is like this isn't looking good. It's time for this kid to be born. He's only 3 days off of his due date. This is what I'm going to recommend to the midwife and to the OB, because I'd been working with a high risk OB since we found this arrhythmia, just in case they wanted to have a high risk OB and a pediatrician available at his birth. So, yeah, you were a troublemaker, weren't you? So they did come back. So after that, I went back to I was in like the triage area, so I was in just like a little curtained area. And they came back and they talked to me and they said, yeah, we would like to try and induce first. We really would like to get him that as natural a birth as possible. So here are your options for inducing, and we went through kind of what the induction would look like if we went that route. Or we can just go straight to C-section. And I was already so far off plan. I had wanted to have a drug-free home birth in like a water birth. And as soon as we had discovered this arrhythmia at week 36, that option was taken completely off the table. So we decided to try inducing, and actually just before they started part of the induction, I started having contractions. So I started having contractions about 10 o'clock on the 13th, and on the around 1 o'clock on the 14th, they started kind of the major induction stuff in the morning there. And then they moved me to a proper bed, like a room in labor and delivery. And I don't talk about my labor story very much because it was pretty traumatic. It was pretty bad. I did end up getting an epidural by about 5 o'clock the next day, so on the 14th there. And things were kind of chugging along. I was progressing, but it was fairly slow. But then some issues cropped up, and then some more issues cropped up, and then his heart rate went through the roof. So at about midnight, they came in and they said, this kid has to be born now. You've tried this labor thing, and I'm so sorry, but it's not working. We've been at this for over 24 hours, and it's been too long it hadn't been 24 hours since my water broke, but it had been longer than they would have liked to go with all the other complications. So I went from having a very healthy, natural, normal pregnancy to just a show of a birth. So we had an emergency C-section, which was, again, the C-section was very traumatic for me. I struggled a lot with it, and I was having a lot of issues with all the different medications and stuff that I was on. But once I got into recovery and I held him, we did really good. What are you doing, Droopy? And other than, he had low blood sugar, so he ended up in the NICU for a few days. And then we got to go home. and he has been doing fantastic ever since. I had some complications. I ended up on a vacuum dressing for 2 weeks, and then a pico. Or no, I think the vacuum was 3 weeks. Anyways, I was about 2 months in pretty intense recovery because I had gotten an infection after I had the C-section. But other than that, we did really well. We're both healthy, happy now. We're doing a lot better. My partner is now my fiance. He actually proposed while I was pregnant. Not because I was pregnant, but while I was pregnant. We had discussed in December whether or not we wanted to get married because of the pregnancy, and that just wasn't in the cards for us. And then in June, things had been going really well. We've been working on a relationship, and he decided that he wanted to propose. So he proposed, and we picked out a ring together. You are squishing Mummy's arm. And we picked out a ring together, and then got it sized and everything. And I've had this since middle end of June. So yeah, so things are going well. I made the brilliant decision that we needed to move on the 1st of August because it was not within our budget to continue living in the place we were living, with all the different bills that we had to pay and everything. So 2 weeks post-surgery and 1 week after getting home from the hospital post-surgery, we moved. It was a bit of a nightmare. I had to apologize profusely to my family because I don't like not being in control of things like a move. But yeah, so we're in a new place again. This one we're planning on sticking around in for a while. It's just a little 2-bedroom apartment. And yeah, so we're doing good. My whole reason for making this video was to kind of update where I've been and why I have been dead to the world. Hi, what's that? Oh, it's such a frown. Such a frown. Can you smile for the camera? Can you smile? Can you smile? Can I get a smile? Anyways, so the whole reason I was making this video was partially to update, partially to say that I'm going LARPing. I've wanted to try LARPing for a really long time, and you look so unimpressed. And I finally got up the courage and energy to go give it a shot. So in November, we are trying out a Legacies LARP in Seattle. It's a bit of a drive for us, but we have to cross the border and everything because we're in Canada. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I've been wanting to do it for years. Legacies is one that I looked into quite some time ago because I had a few friends into it. And then I was going to try the more local one, and I kept hearing that it wasn't as good. And also, they are actually shutting down as of December. So, we're going to give Legacies a shot. My fiance's not sure that he's going to be 100% into it, but I think I'm going to enjoy it. So, even if he decides not to go, I have friends who are going, so I will probably keep going. And yeah. So, I'm probably going to do some updating to this channel as far as what I'm going to be doing on the channel. I would like to kind of cover more like nerdy and geeky stuff and like maybe some of the LARP stuff, and I'm going to talk about some of the Dungeons and Dragons stuff that I've been working on and maybe some of the games that I play, and just kind of take it in more of like a geeky route because of the fashion and the, what's in my bag. They're cool, and I got really obsessed with watching them for a while, but they're not me. And I just feel like I need a change. So, anyways, this has gone on for like 20 minutes, and I'm a little exposed. Sorry, guys. So little guy and I are going to go, because he needs a change and some snuggles. And he looks awfully grumpy, so hopefully I'll be able to get him to smile for you in a future video. But yeah, so I will see you guys later. And that's it. Bye, guys.